The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin S. Sharma. This is one of the earliest books that I've found inspiration in, and it remains one of my favorites so far. So let's go ahead and summarize this book and get a dose of inspiration and motivation. Here we go. Julian Mantle is the lead character of this book. He's successful, not just successful, he's actually super successful. He's a lawyer. He earns millions of dollars every year. He has a beautiful bungalow. He works for the richest of rich, owns a yacht. However, his most beloved possession is a red Ferrari, and he's super proud of his Ferrari. So you see, outwardly, Julian appears to have it all. However, inwards, there are a lot of issues in his life. For example, he's got health issues. He is around 53, but he looks and feels as old as 80. His marriage is on rocks. He's not close to anybody from his family. So there are lots of issues within him, but on the outside, he appears to have it all. And everything comes crashing down one fine day when he's in action in the court and he's gripped by a massive pain in the chest. Yes, Julian has had an heart attack. Julian is hospitalized, and after that, he completely disappears. People do not know his whereabouts. After about 3 years, Julian goes to John's house. John is Julian's acquaintance, and John is surprised to see Julian because he's changed completely. He looks really, really young. He's got a very peaceful aura around him, and he's curious to know. John is like super curious to know what's happened and how did this drastic positive transformation happen. Julian smiles at John and reveals details about this transformation. He says that after hospitalization, he decided to sell his bungalow, his yacht, and his beloved Ferrari and head to the Himalayas in India. In the Himalayas, he meets a yogi named Yogi Raman, who decides to take him in and teach him the ways of successful living. Yogi Raman decides to teach Julian with the help of a narrative, with the help of a story. So Yogi asks Julian to imagine this. He says that just imagine that you're sitting in a beautiful garden, and when you look a little far, you happen to notice a lighthouse. Just then, the door of the lighthouse creaks open and out walks a sumo wrestler. The sumo wrestler is not wearing anything, he is just wearing a pink wired underwear. The sumo wrestler walks in the garden, notices a golden watch lying around, and just as he's about to take it, he slips and falls and he faints. After some time, probably because of the smell or the sweet fragrance of the yellow roses, he wakes up and he starts walking again, and he notices that towards his left side there is a path full of diamonds. He decides to take that path and he walks that path, and he keeps walking and he disappears out of sight. Julian is bemused listening to the story. He looks up at the yogi and asks him, "Is this a joke?" Yogi Raman looks at him and smiles kindly and says that there are virtues of successful living hidden in this story, and he goes on to explain it thus. The garden in the story represents your mind. So there are around 75 to 90,000 thoughts which hit you every single day. But if you take care of your garden, that is your mind, if you ensure that only positive and good thoughts enter your mind, then and only then you will have a beautiful garden, and then you will have a positive foundation to build on. The next virtue is represented by the lighthouse. The lighthouse represents the goals that you have in your life. It is super important to be goal oriented, to have certain goals so that you know which path to travel and to give more meaning to your life. In Japan, they have a thing called kaizen, which means continuous improvement. So the third virtue in the story is represented by the sumo wrestler, who represents that you should continuously keep improving on yourself and keep on upgrading yourself every day. The fourth virtue of a successful living is represented by the pink underwear, which is worn by the sumo wrestler. This particular pink wired underwear represents your self-control and your discipline, which is so essential for successful living. The fifth point is represented by the golden stopwatch. It helps us to understand the virtue of time utilization. For every human being has got 24 hours a day, but the person who goes ahead and uses it in the optimum way is the one who moves ahead in life. So that is what is being taught by the golden stopwatch. The sixth point is represented by the yellow roses, which teaches kindness and the quality of selflessness. It says that we should be committed to social causes which are close to our heart and contribute to the society. The seventh point that Yogi wants to make to Julian is represented by the diamond stud road. The diamond studded pathway or roadway represents the present moment. Instead of thinking about the past or about the future, we need to learn how to live in the present moment, because the present moment is all that we have. We do not have access to the past or to the future other than in our thoughts. This beautiful narrative, the story, which comprises of the 7 components as is shown in the picture, was Yogi Raman's way of teaching Julian what are the 7 virtues of living, which makes life truly successful. It was said in this story format so that Julian could easily remember it and imbibe it into his living. I hope this story has inspired you to take 1 or 2 points from the story and to imbibe it in your life as well.